MSR, AJ Fang, and it's a little too easy to do the video whining and griping about how June Player of the Month, top 10 OPS, etc. Juan Soto got snubbed from the All-Star game. Okay, I could easily just sit up here, show you some baseball reference side by side, some clever graphs, and play the blame game for a half hour. But my real disappointment is with us as Mets fans. Okay, and even further, with baseball's overall treatment of and outlook on Soto post-contract. All right, let's get into it. Now, my boy Miguel Lopez from La Uca Deportes made a great point about us as Mets fans. And if you don't speak Spanish, I'll fill you in with some subtitles. Hopefully this doesn't get claimed. So basically what he's saying is, since Soto arrived to the Mets, with Lindor and Pete already here, ticket sales have increased 47%. So obviously we're going out to the ballpark to go see this guy play. He's obviously a spectacle and a star, but yet we can't vote him into the All-Star game. And he's being super calm and super chill about it. Of course, this was hard for me to do because I keep seeing Paloma Almonte over there. Paloma Almonte, mi amor, sabe que haría cualquier cosa por ti, baby. Sota. Okay, focus. 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 Okay, we can bitch and whine and complain about MLB all we want, which I did, but guess what? It's on us. It shouldn't have even been up to anyone else or some ghost shadow voters in the background to allow him to play, right? We should have voted him in as a starter off top, all right? We're supposed to have the unfair advantage in terms of league-wide representation because of the city and because of the market behind this team. We've let it happen twice with Lindor and blame the league when we should have just voted him in as a starter to begin with these last couple of years. I know it's de moda, it's fashionable to hate the Mets and to think we're a joke, so we're not going to get a lot of the swing votes. I get that, okay? But Arcia making the All-Star game as a starter was a joke, right? Look at this year's graphic for the voting. You see Dodgers fans showed out. Look, Pete was showing out for us every single night. And we let LA outvote us with Freddie. And look, I love Freddie. We all love Freddie. But this should not have happened. I just said I wasn't going to do the fan graphs chart thing, but I mean, Jesus. This shouldn't have happened. And it's not even just the raw numbers. It's when he was giving us these numbers. Right? It's when he was giving us these numbers. Think of every big hit, every time we needed it. Who was the one? Right? Who was the one? And you look at these numbers from Pete, the clutchness is even more obvious when you consider the stat that when bases are empty, Pete is hitting 235 this year with a 710 OPS, right? With runners on, when we need him, and it's typically Soto, it's somebody on, he's hitting 337 with an 1118 OPS. Why is Pete not starting in the All-Star game? It's not MLB's fault. It's our fault. Okay, straight up. And even with the voting, even with Lindor making it, I'm still not satisfied. Why doesn't he have the second most votes? You understand Ohtani's always going to have the most votes, even if he hits 150, right? But why doesn't Lindor have the most votes? And I'm not just saying that Lindor is strictly the second best player here, which he is. But with all the memories he's given us, the home runs, the doubles when we needed them, the singles when we needed them, the walks when we needed them, the defense when we needed it, we should have shown out for him. The interviews at his locker, always saying the right thing, always providing the leadership, right? We should have really shown out for him in a bigger way. And in no way should Will Smith have more votes than him. I get it. Will Smith is having a better year at the plate. But with everything I just mentioned, Will Smith should not have more votes than Francisco Lindor. All right. Now you want to talk criteria. Okay. What's the criteria? I'm convinced no two All-Star criterias are quite alike, right? We all have slightly differing ones, but there are some generally understood guidelines. Now you've got to perform well in that year. Note how no one is really arguing for Mookie, despite every human on earth loving and respecting him. And even his own fan base didn't even fluke him in. Okay, so you got to give us that as MLB fans. We have some sort of criteria here. But the other thing is having a brand name still does matter. All right. It isn't normally viewed as the end all be all, but if two guys are close, the one that actually sells jerseys will and probably should get the nod because it's the all-star game, not the all-war game. I can't tell you how exhausted I am of these graphics on MLB Twitter where they bring up the baseball reference graphic and one guy has like 0.3 more WAR and like 1 or 2 more gray boxes. And they're like, oh, it's a robbery and it's not even close. Like, dude, first of all, it's close. Please shut the hell up. If you or none of your homies even has the guy's jersey and you're trying to argue with dude in because he's got half a WAR on somebody, I think you're missing the whole plot. Okay. Now, with that being said, I will acknowledge a few obstacles that we and specifically Juan Soto face when it comes to things like this. We as in the Mets, all right? Number one, people just seem to hate this guy now in a way that I can't really compare to any player in any sport. Like, I don't know what he did to people. The closest thing that comes to my mind is how people treated Harper, but he was perceived as arrogant, bratty, and a little bit of a douche with the whole that's a clown question, bro thing. Like, I kind of understood why people didn't like Bryce Harper. I mean, I liked him. I mean, he played for a rival, but I liked him. But I kind of understood what the prevailing thought was on him. But outside of the Soto shuffle, which he's not even really doing right now, hasn't Soto been the consummate pro and a pretty low-key guy for his career? You know? I'm just sitting in confusion listening to fans in Baltimore boo him in mid-July because he chose to sign a contract that was offered to him. One that he says wasn't even the largest offer. Okay, great interview over on Abriendo Sports. I know you don't speak Spanish, but I mean, if baseball media started paying attention to some of these outlets, we would get some more accurate quotes of how these guys actually feel in their native language. That's a whole other thing. Okay. And it wasn't even his largest offer, according to him, you know? And yes, I still think that they're hypocrites and big babies, but at least I can wrap my head around why Yankee fans hate him. But everyone else, I don't get it. I don't get it. And the other thing is, number two, yes, we represent the big city, but we do have the minority share of fans here as we're splitting territory with a team that's been dominant over the course of what feels like 200 years. And the Dodgers specifically don't really have to deal with that. I mean, I know the Angels are there, but come on. You know, though technically we did birth that team. You know, I don't know. It's a plate of spaghetti, really. But even with all that said, I still expect us to outvote Cubs fans. Like, what are we doing here? And number three, it's true that Soto didn't start off too hot. Yeah, he didn't start off crazy hot, but I think the convo was a little overblown, of course, because his numbers were always solid to good. And once he started his heater late May, we had all of June to show out and vote for him as he exploded to an eventual Player of the Month winning stretch. So I'm just confused here. All right, look, so in review, the number one reason why Juan Soto isn't starting in the All-Star game is because Mets fans didn't vote him in. And that's just the reality we got to face, okay? But I will acknowledge, like I said, in review, we've already acknowledged it, but I will acknowledge having Yankee fans and having MLB at your throat doesn't really help with the popularity vote. So it's like a perfect storm of things that had to happen for a guy like this not to be in the All-Star game. And I don't care about the injury replacement stuff. It doesn't count. All right. Now I'm starting to get disgusted. I feel a crash out coming on. metsetradio, AJ Fang. If you fuck with the vibe, hit subscribe. Road to 10 subscribers. We out.